Ciao jewelry making friends, my name is Joey Balestrieri. Welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. This is my third project with the Whispers of Antiquity treasure box from Potomac Beads, and I just loved this box. I just feel like they did such a great job this month, and this is a really simple quick project. I have one of the earrings done. I am using one of the 8mm micro faceted seamless mirror beads for the drop on this, and then there were these beautiful check glass deco diamond beads, and the drill hole goes from corner to corner, so they kind of, you string them as a diamond. And then there was a beautiful 7mm lilac check glass bead, and I just grabbed a little spacer from my stash and some wire and an ear wire, and this earring comes together really quickly, and I decided to do a herringbone wrap on this bead just to really frame it and feature it. It's so beautiful. It's two-sided, and I really love the dimension. Let me see if I can show you the dimension on this bead, because you really have a nice place to rest your wire as you wrap and frame it. And it is always a little bit organic, and the back of a herringbone is a little bit, you get this little cupping sort of, but that's equally as beautiful, so you can decide which side you want to be the front of your piece. So we're going to do one together, and I have kind of an easy way of doing a herringbone wrap. I am going to take a little piece of 20 gauge wire. This is probably about 3 inches. And I'm also going to take a little piece of 22 gauge wire. This is about 12 inches, and I just guesstimated because I don't want to run short. So I'm going to start by taking the 20 gauge wire and wrapping the 22 gauge wire around like 2 times. Let's see what I did here. It looks like I did 2. So it'll be a little tricky because there's no bead, there's no leverage, nothing to hold on to, but just get a couple of wraps with that 22 gauge wire, and you can use your pliers to kind of help you and just get it started. And I'm going to trim this away and just tighten it down. Not really, well, I guess it's tightening, but also it's just to make sure there's nothing sharp. And so that looks great. And now I'm going to thread on my corner to corner deco bead just like that. And now I'm going to take this wire. It's a little bit tricky to get started because I want to hold this bead right up next to those wraps that I just started, and I want to wrap this wire down the side of the bead. And you can rotate your work. It's really the best way to do it as we do our herringbone wrap, and as tight as I can get it. I really want that wire to be snuggled up next to the bead. And when I come to this end, I want my 22 gauge wire to be on top of the core wire, and I'm going to go to the back of that core wire and come all the way back around to the front. So there's my first wrap, and then hold on to it, and we're going to do another. I want to match it to here, so I'm going to do another wrap. It's a little bit long, I apologize if I'm hitting the camera, but I want this end to match this end in the number of wraps. And at any time, if you need to, you can come in, you can use your fingernail or your pliers and just snuggle that up. And now we're going to go back down the same way we did the other side. Hold everything as best you can, and I'm just going to lay that wire as snuggle it as close as I can up to the bead, and then come around to this other end, and I'm back on top of my core wire and at the top of those wraps. And let me move my finger up here just to make sure it's tight, and I'm going to wrap to the back and back around to the front. And now we're going to do the same thing. Just come down, and this time going behind the first wire that I did, behind. And when I get to this side, I want my 22 gauge wire to be going on top of the core wire. Get my finger around there, and again wrap it to the back and back around to the front. And at any time, like if you feel like you need to tighten your wraps, I don't like to use my fingernails as tools, so I bring my pliers in if I need to like zhuzh something. And now we're going to continue down this side, putting this wire behind the first wrap that we made, and I'm going to grab onto it with my finger here, come up to this side, move my finger so it's nice and tight, and wrap from the back around to the back. It's really just back to front. You're constantly doing back to front. And now I'm on this side. I'm going to come down the side again behind that second wrap that I did. Get a hold of it behind that second wrap. So now I have 3, and that's what I did on my other earring. Get it in there. Get my finger on this side, and same thing. Go from the front to the back and back around to the front. And I need to go one more time down this side. 3, so I'll have 3 on each side. So down the side behind my wraps, and when I come to this side, I'm at the front or top of my core wire and wrap around to the back and back around to the front. And now I can just bring this to the back. You can also bring your nylon jaw pliers in if you need to like zhuzh anything, and I feel like I do right here on this side. I'm going to bend them back so they're real, so my wires are really going down the side. I have a funny little space on this one. Why do I have a funny space on this one? Okay, and I'm going to bring this around to the back side and trim it away. And just make sure that where I cut it, it's tucked. And you can gently like take your pliers, your regular pliers or your nylon jaw pliers, and just tighten everything, kind of make everything stay where you want it. That looks really pretty. So that's what the back side looks like. You get like this, because we wrap this wire behind, you get this little cupping, and it's pretty as well, but I did it as this being the front side. And then I'm going to take my longer end of wire, and I'm just going to thread on one of those 7mm check glass lilac beads and that little spacer bead. And I'm going to make a simple loop here. So I'm going to grab this very carefully. I don't want to disturb the rest of my earring, and just give myself a 90-degree bend, and then trim that away, and just roll that into a little loop, just a little simple loop here. Just bring it on down to that little spacer bead, close it really well, and now here I can straighten anything that I need to straighten. That looks good. This is going back a little bit. And now for this little, oh, I want to do a loop on this end too. I was ready to jump to my to my next component. So same thing, just 90-degree bend, trim away, and make a little simple loop. So in essence, we took that beautiful deco bead and we just made like a little connector out of it. My loop a little bit offset. Okay, well, it looks really good. And now I'm going to take another piece of that 20-gauge wire, and I am going to make a little spiral. I'm going to do my best to match the spiral that I did on this component. It's not always easy to match them. They're very organic, at least for me. I try to do them the same, but I tend to, each one seems to come out a little bit different. But what you can do is have the same number of turns. So it looks like I did 3 turns. So that's 2. Just push the wire against my finger. So I'm making my own little head pin, my own little spiral head pin. That's pretty good. I like my earrings to mirror each other. And I'm going to grab this wire and just bend it straight up, because like I said, we're doing like a little spiral head pin here. Let me smooth it and get it nice and straight. Let's see how it looks. Oh, it's pretty good. The first earring is always the easiest because you just make it, and the second one is always the challenging one because you have to like copy the other one. So I'm just going to thread that on, and this time I want my simple loop to go front to back because this loop is going horizontally to my mat, so I want this one to go perpendicular to my mat, and that way I know that they're in the right orientation. You can always change the orientation of a loop, but if you know what you're doing ahead of time, you might as well do it right to begin with. And just roll that back. Got a little bit wonky. What was I doing? Okay, and now I can open this. Open that and add it right to the component with the herringbone. And now we just add an ear wire, and this little pair of earrings is finished. And they are stunning. They really feature the beads in the box and a little bit of, whoops, there is a front and a back. I want to make sure I connect them to the front. But they are just beautiful statement earrings. I mean, these earrings feel like, this is like the little disco ball on a dance floor. So if you weren't planning to go dancing and you make these earrings, you might need to go dancing. But they are just lovely, handmade, but very professional and interesting. And they're statement earrings, and they have a little movement, but not too busy. So that is just my third project from the treasure box for May, and it's just a beautiful box, and I just couldn't put the beads away. I had to do another project. So I hope you got some inspiration from this and enjoyed the video. I thank you for choosing my video today. If you have not subscribed to my channel, that would be a lovely way to support my work. And if you're interested in receiving the Potomac Beads treasure box every month, or their kit edition, I'll put the information in the description box of this video. It's one of my favorite things. The beads and the quality and the different types of beads and findings that you get in these boxes are really amazing, and I highly recommend it. So I thank you again, and I hope everyone is safe and well and having fun on their beading mats. Ciao, jewelry making friends.